Welcome back. Jason Priester, allClemsonTigers.com, part of the Clemson Maven multimedia platform. Once again, here to talk a little bit of recruiting today. Obviously, these summer months, busy time for recruiting, and the hot topic of late has been offensive line recruiting and some of the misses Clemson has been experiencing, in this recruiting cycle. Before we get started, want to take a moment to remind everybody, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We'd very much appreciate your help in trying to grow the channel. Helps us continue to bring you these videos. We would very much appreciate that. That Clemson's missed on a bunch of offensive linemen this cycle, man. There's just really no other way to frame it. I think they're about 1 for 9 right now. Missed on the 3 in-state guys early. Although I didn't think they stood much of a chance in 2 of those battles. But, not having much success with the 6 targets they honed in on after that, the 6 they brought in for the big official visit weekend, that first weekend in June. Watched Michael Uni commit to Michigan. We've seen William Satterwhite commit to Tennessee, Fletcher Westfall commit to Florida. Clemson did land Ronan O'Connell in a battle, a head-to-head battle against Tennessee. 2 more guys still out there, Casey Poe, but he's been trending towards Alabama for a while, and Jamison Riggs, who we don't have an announcement date on yet, probably coming to an end sooner rather than later, probably before the end of the month, if I had to guess. Kind of been, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Auburn, but I would, I don't think Clemson stands a very good shot at landing him at this point. So it looks like Clemson's going to go 1 for 6 with these guys. Get 1, miss on 5, want to take 3. So where do you go from here? Assuming, of course, you miss on Poe and you miss on Riggs, which I'm thinking is going to play out that way. I'll be honest, I'm not sure. The cookout's coming up. Does Clemson decide to, invite a offensive lineman or 2, new targets to the cookout? I think that's a distinct possibility. But I could also see it, playing out a little longer, get through the summer and kind of reassess where you're at, see what's still out there, and go from there. I've been asked a lot about Julius Tate, an in-state guy who has been committed to Northwestern, decommitted on Tuesday, amidst the Pat Fitzgerald firing. He's a guard. Clemson needs a tackle. I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see. Been asked a lot about Favor Edwin, a former teammate of Zachariah Owens, or should I say they go to the same high school? I'm not sure. I think they played together. I'm not sure. Can't remember off the top of my head, but same high school as freshman offensive lineman Zachariah Owens. I know he camped at Clemson. I saw him at camp a few weeks ago. I guess he's a potential possibility. We'll see. Not sure where he stands with his recruitment right now, but he's a guy with a lot of upside, but still, he's very raw. Would need a lot of development. He's a guy that would need a lot of time once he got in here to adjust, acclimate, and take to the coaching, all that good stuff. It's just not sure how this thing's going to play out. And Thomas Austin's catching a lot of heat on social media, Twitter, Facebook, the like. And it's understandable. Fans are frustrated, man. They don't like all these whiffs on these offensive linemen. And when you have such a small pool from which you're recruiting from, Clemson's so selective in who they offer, it kind of magnifies the misses. When you miss on several guys, when you have such a small pool, those misses are going to be felt a little harder. You can't just move on to the next guy because you don't have a next guy out there just yet. I mean, I'm sure they got a backup, a fallback plan and all that good stuff, and they'll keep going down their board. We'll see what happens, but I just think Clemson right now is paying a price for not having a proven track record of pumping guys into the league. Let's look at Fletcher Westphal, for example. He goes to Florida. Florida's offensive line coach, he's only been there a year, or this is his first season. I can't. He's coached in the NFL before. Before that, he spent time at some Group of 5 schools, but he was putting offensive linemen into the league from those Group of 5 schools. Thomas Austin is still a relatively new position coach. He spent 2 years at Georgia State. He's now been at Clemson for a year. So he's just getting started. Not much of a track record to lean on with him. And I know that the recruits, at least the ones that I've talked to, they all speak very highly of him, like him very much. Just, again, not much of a – you can't just say, hey, you see this guy, put these guys in the NFL. I mean, Austin can tell him he's played in the NFL and he knows what it takes to get there. But he does not have that proven track record of actually developing players and putting them into the league just yet. I think it is imperative that Clemson starts developing and putting some guys into the league, starting with the guys that are on the roster right now. I think there are guys on this team right now with NFL potential, and it would greatly benefit Thomas Austin and the rest of the coaching staff, for that matter, if they could start putting some of those guys into the NFL, and not as 6th-round picks, 7th-round picks, undrafted free agents. I'm talking about higher-round picks. I mean, I know you got Jackson Carman as a 3rd-round pick that's there with the Bengals, but outside of that, it's been late-round picks and undrafted free agent signings. Just not a lot to hang your hat on when you're sitting in somebody's living room and trying to sell yourself to this kid's family. Missing on most of your targets in this class also makes it that much more important for what you do in 2025. The margin of error is going to be slimmer. You're going to need to hit on some guys in that class. Otherwise, you're going to have some major gaps to fill. And I think Clemson's okay along the offensive line right now. Missing on some guys in 2024 isn't going to have some immediate impact that we see this season or maybe even next season, because I think Clemson's kind of settled on the offensive line for a couple of years. But it might have an impact beyond that. And if you keep continuing to struggle in future classes, this is absolutely going to have an impact. Another thing that could greatly benefit, the Tigers on the recruiting trail is getting that offense back on track, period, this season. Offensive line play has been, let's face it, less than stellar the past 2 years. That's out there on film for all these guys to see. Not a big selling point with some guys. They need to rebound this year under Garrett Riley. New quarterback, new system, new offensive coordinator, kind of a reset on the offense. And they need to, get that offense back on track, plain and simple. But we'll see what happens with the offensive line going forward. Again, it wouldn't shock me to see them try to get a guy or two in here for the cookout. Couldn't venture a guess as to who at this point. Trying to get one here for the cookout and getting one here for the cookout, those are two very different things. That thing's quickly approaching. It'll be the last weekend of the month. So that's not a lot of turnaround time as far as making travel plans and all that stuff. Depends on who you're targeting and where they're coming from, obviously. But it's going to be a interesting story to follow throughout the rest of this cycle, throughout the entire season. Early signing days in December. And, again, you can't judge the class until it's finished, but it's not looking great along the offensive line for Clemson right now. Again, don't think it's time to hit the panic button by any stretch. Like I touched on a minute ago, I think Clemson's set up nicely along the offensive line right now. Just got to start developing that talent and, putting some of those guys into the NFL. And if you start doing that, some of these issues, or at least I think some of these issues you're facing on the recruiting trail right now will start to take care of themselves. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Check us out, allclemsontigers.com. We'll see y'all next time.